Welcome and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Vuorinen. I'm the president of the Choirs Ontario Board of Directors. We're so glad that you have been able to join us here this afternoon from wherever you are today. As we gather today virtually across this province and from further beyond, we begin by acknowledging that we do so on the traditional territory of many First Nations. Although Choirs Ontario works to serve its members across this province, its offices are situated in the city of Toronto, which has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this meeting place and the places from which we are all gathering today are still the home of many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work and live on this land. Today's workshop, Tips and Tricks for the Virtual Choir Rehearsal, is sponsored by Choirs Ontario. It is our mission to foster vibrant, inclusive, and accessible choral communities by providing programs, services, and resources, creating opportunities, and engaging Ontario's diverse population in the transformative power of choral music. If you're not currently a member of Choirs Ontario, we encourage you to consider membership, which you can do for as little as $12 by visiting our website at choirsontario.org/membership. Now for a couple of housekeeping items. As we move through the presentations this afternoon, I would ask that you keep yourselves on mute, your microphones on mute. There will be plenty of ways in which you will be actively engaged throughout the afternoon, but we do ask that you keep yourself muted. This allows for a smoother transmission with such a large group gathered here today. There will be time for some questions and answers throughout the day. And again, because of the size of this group, I would like to encourage you to use the chat function to register your question by typing it into that chat feature. And now we move on to our presentation. It is my pleasure to introduce and welcome Dr. Elaine Choi. Elaine is the past president of the Choirs Ontario Board. She is music director of Timothy Eaton Memorial Church in Toronto. She teaches and conducts choirs at the Faculty of Music at the University of Toronto. And Elaine is the founder of the Babel Chamber Choir, a mixed ensemble founded to bridge choral music between Canada and China. Please join me now in welcoming Dr. Elaine Choi.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you all here today. Many of you would have attended our last month's session with Antonio Yaka on virtual rehearsal. And what I was hoping to do today is in some of my wonderful colleagues of Choirs Ontario Board of Directors into doing a hands-on workshop that we can all participate and hopefully freshen up virtual rehearsal routine, shall we say. Also a chance to sing together because I really miss participating and actually working my voice as well. So I really hope you will be able to join us and actively participate. Note that this session is recorded and it will be shared to all of the participants after this session, so you don't have to worry about jotting notes. We're also very grateful for one of our board members, Michelle Rees, who's here to take notes as well. So again, we will encourage you to put down your notes, have your hands free, has your body and your voice free, and just join us in a singing experience. Because sometimes we also need to know how it feels on the other side before we can lead a choir rehearsal as well. So I hope you have a wonderful grand time, and I'm very excited to be sharing this session with all my wonderful colleagues, which I will introduce a little bit later as well. So if you are able, I encourage you to stay standing and standing up, stay on your feet. Don't worry about letting me see you. As long as you can see me, that's great. All right, so first thing first, I'd like to remind my choir or our choirs about the 2020. I know we're in 2021. I did not forget about that, but this 2020 rule is great. Every 20 minutes, we should be taking our eyes off the screens for 20 seconds, if you can, and look at things that are 20 feet away. I'm very fortunate to be standing in front of a window, so I'm looking out, and I encourage you to look out. And while you do that, just follow along into my verbal instruction. We're reaching out nice and high, get into tippy toe, and drop. Great, let's do this side as well. Nice stretch and release. great. Rotate your shoulders if you can. Excellent. And let's shake out one of your leg. I like to do my right and then my left. Great. And feel that contact from your to the ground and keeping it nice and feeling that connection to your knees. Reminded that your knees should be nice and softly bended. Bounce it a little bit if you're able. And now, of course, the lovely hula hoop, getting our hips moving. Oh, it's making all kinds of crackly sound. Not great. But keep that going. Excellent. Very good. Good. Bring that to our neck. Let's use our nose as a little stylus or pointer or your calligraphy pen. And if you can, in cursive, it will work a lot better in cursive, write your name. So your first name and take it very slow. All right. It helps you to focus. You're welcome to close your eyes. This is a good way to loosen up all the little kinks and the knots that we have on our neck. Bring it all the way up. For me, it's the L that I like to do. And take your time. If you're already done, then feel free to add a little bit of a letter after. And getting the knots out. Excellent. Very good. Shoulders all the way up to your ears and drop. One more time. This time a nice audible sigh. That's right. Let's give our face a little massage. Tap, tap, tap. That's right. And open up. If you are not afraid of the camera, feel free to show a big lion face and scrunch it up. One more time. And stretch it up. Nice. You already feel more connected to your choir because you get to make all of these faces. Great. We're going to do some breathing. We're going to breathe in 4 and exhale on a or in 4. So breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hiss out 4. Very good. And we're going to add this motion to your arms. And this time we're going to breathe in 4 and exhale on 8. Okay, so breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. 2, 3, and 4. So 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As you exhale, think about where your arms is, what number your arms should be at while you're doing this. This is a great for choirs of all ages to feel that phrasing and feel our breath and plan our breath accordingly. Let's breathe in 4 and exhale on 12. What number should we be at when we're right in the middle? Think about it. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, exhale 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right. And 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. One more time. Breathing in 4, exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Last time, breathe in 4, exhale 4, 2, 3, and exhale 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. All right, a little bit of humming. That's right. All right, some of the things that I notice myself is I'm getting into this situation that I have a little bit of a COVID voice. I talk a lot more than I sing these days, especially somehow when we're talking across the screen, you feel like that person is so far away. So you're talking louder, you're pressing your voice down a little bit lower, and all kinds of tension ended up happening. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, do I still have the range I have? I have a lot of singers that are asking this question, and all we can do is just to make sure we do a lot of warm up and take care of our voice. Let's do V. Nice and easy. love that some of you are using your arms and keep your body engaged while you're doing an exercise, or you're welcome to do a little bit of a cross body. Let me show you if you can, a little cross leg. Or you can do that hula hoop that we showed a little bit earlier on. Anything you can keep moving. I can never stand still and sing at the same time. I notice I like to move. And if moving doesn't feel intuitive to some of you, I like one thing that I got an idea from Antonio's session last month. It's using your screen and try to draw a little rainbow from one corner to the other, or just use an open arm. Just a good way to get, that's right. Good job, man. I like seeing that beautiful movement on your arm. So again, on Z or on Z or on lip trill, those are great relaxing vowels, consonants to start. Ready, and keep going. Beautiful. Think about your breath. That's right. Make sure your breath is not too audible. One more after this if you can. All right. Woo! Do a couple of those guys. Woo! That's right. I know your cats and your dogs might be barking with you, but that's okay. Let's do one more. Woo! One last one. I love this one. Zing a mama, zing a mama, zing, zing a mama, zing, zing with a Z. And we're going to really articulate all of these articulators. Jaw work, well, not jaw, make your little articulators work and make your cheek work. We're going to do coming down. Zinga mama, zinga mama, zinga mama, zinga mama, zing, zing, zing. Just coming down. So, fa, mi, re, do, do. Now, if you can add a little tap here, always add a little bit of fun and also another way to teach our body. Zinga mama, zinga mama, zinga mama, zinga mama, zing, zing, zing. Ready and go. Nice. Good. Can you do P for piano? Pinga mama, pinga mama, pinga mama. Ah, you got a better P. Pinga mama, pinga mama, pinga. Nice job. T for tongue. Good. Keep going. Let's see whether we can do a F for forte. Finger mama, finger mama, finger mama, finger mama, finger. Two, ready, and finger mama, finger mama. Good. Last one, P for piano. A little bit more humming as we introduce the next person who's going to demonstrate. Keep your voice working. It's going to keep engaging the whole time. It's my pleasure to introduce our colleague, our friend from the regional representation in the East region is Jackie Hawley. Jackie is from Ottawa. She is the artistic director of the Cantonal Chamber Choirs, which is an organization she can tell you more about. I have had the pleasure of meeting Jackie in the Choirs Ontario on the road when I first started with Choirs Ontario, and she works magic with children and youth choir and always with so many resources and always lead with beautiful grace and energy and positivity. So I'm excited to learn from you, Jackie, and take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Elaine, for your very generous introduction. And hopefully I will offer you some new things or some familiar things to do in a different way. So as always, everybody up. And I was commiserating with colleagues this morning about teaching dark screens. So if you're brave enough to put your beautiful face on the screen, we always appreciate it. So first thing, a little body percussion. And all of this information will come to you, links and notes and things. I had this great body percussion workshop I had to get up at 5 in the morning for, but it was worth doing. And one of the first things is fun time. So just say this with me. Fun time. Here we go. 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 From the looks of the screens, we've nailed that. So fun time. You get to see my fuzzy slippers. This is what you're going to do. Fun time. Fun time. All right, there we go. So get your fuzzy slippers and it's fun time. Here we go. 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 Now the next thing in this body percussion, this gentleman called the move the butterfly. So you do this, butterfly. I love that, butterfly. Looks really good. Everybody does it on the screen. So it's fun time. Here we go. Yeah. Fun time. Here we go. 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 And the next sentence, let's start easy. Let's start slow, which I really appreciated because I'm not as fast at learning these things as I was 30 years ago. Let's start easy. Let's start slow. 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 For the beginning, here we go. Fun time. Here we go. Let's start easy. Let's start slow. Fun time. Here we go. Let's start easy. Let's start slow. Fun time. Here we go. Let's start easy. Let's start slow. So now what's really cool on Zoom, if I can say there are things that are cool on Zoom, is even though we can't hear each other in a canon, we can actually watch each other in a canon. Because right now it looks really cool while we're all together, but you can kind of see a canon. So I'm going to be number 1. You decide if you're going to be number 2 or number 3 or number 4. All right, so you're number 2 or 3 or 4. I'm number 1. So we're going to do it all together once and then 4 times. And you come in on after beat 2. Fun time, fun time, fun time, fun time. And then if you kind of watch, you can kind of see a canon. Mind you, this is all very new and probably some of us will be flailing around a little bit and it'll just be like cacophony, as my daughter would say. I know it's cacophony. All right, so let's just have a little review. Fun time. Here we go. Let's start easy. Let's start slow. Fun time. Here we go. Let's start easy. Let's start slow. Okay, that was rehearsal. Here comes performance. Are you ready? One thing he always does in the video as well, at the end of everything, he goes, fantastic. So are you ready? Fantastic. I love that. All right, one time with me and then do it 4 times, whether you're a 2 or 3 or a 4. Here we go. 1, 2, away we go. Fun time. Here we go. Let's start easy. Let's start cannons. Here we go. Let's start easy. Let's start slow. Fantastic. All right, so well done. Okay, now that is one thing. I wanted to give you a variety of things that you can use today, and you can use those in all kinds of ways. The gentleman's name is Richard Filtz. I'll give you his website, and even without signing up or buying anything, there are many little short exercises that you can use. That one is actually from days of the week, and instead of fun time, it's called Monday. And so far, he's put out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you can get those on the website and we'll send you that. The next thing that I want to do with you is this lovely, lovely piece I learned from a friend. It's just 4 phrases long and it's called Evening Rise. It does have 6 parts, 2 soprano, 2 alto, tenor, and bass. And you can layer it. We've done it surround sound in the before times, as it's called. But it's a really beautiful warm up and it feels really nice. And you can do a lot of different things with it. So first thing is, if you don't know it, I'm going to teach it to you by rote. Just going to wet my whistle. And I'll ask you to join in the movements as well, because I do think it feels nice for one thing, and I think it'll help us learn it quicker as well. I'll go through it once so you know what we're working towards, and it's going to go like this. Evening rise, spirit come, sun goes down when the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. So such a beautiful melody. And I
was stupid because I couldn't.
Oh, there we go. That's good. Okay, so first thing, evening rise, spirit come. I'll sing it twice. You can sing it twice with me or join in second time. Here we go. Evening rise, spirit come. Evening rise, spirit come. Next phrase. Sun goes down when the day is done. Sun goes down when the day is done. We'll put those together. Evening rise, spirit come. Sun goes down when the day is done. Here we go. Evening rise, spirit come. Sun goes down when the day is done. Let's do that again. Evening rise, spirit come. Sun goes down when the day is done. Next phrase. Mother Earth awakens me. Mother awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea, with the heartbeat of the sea. Mother Earth. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. We'll go through the whole thing 2 times. Here we go. Evening rise, spirit come. Sun goes down when the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. Evening rise, spirit come. Sun goes down when the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. I can only imagine how beautiful that sounds because, you know, it looks beautiful on Zoom. You all look so elegant with beautiful phrasing. I can imagine that breath flow and tone quality must be gorgeous. So much can be done with that. For instance, you can do it in a round. Now we just did a little round, but this time you're number 2, I'm number 1. So sing it with me once. Then when I sing it again, you start off in the round and you can do it either a 2 beat or 4 beat, whichever you like. So go together with me, shake out your arms first and your leg and your other leg and take a breath in. Here we go with me once and then in canon. Evening rise, spirit come. Sun goes down when the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. Evening rise, spirit come. Sun goes down when the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. Ah, beautiful. Thank you for doing that. So now with that little song, what we could do, I'm just going to sit down so I'm not so far away from, I feel so far away from you. Of course, now I'm so much closer to you. So what I've done sometimes is we've done little focus groups. So we'll go into a breakout. We won't do this right now, but we will do some of the focus as we go into breakout rooms in little groups of 4, because there are four phrases. and you focus on one particular thing. So in your first group, for example, we would focus on the meaning of the text. So the meaning of the text, who is speaking or singing, who is being sung to in these words? Where are you in this story? Where are you in this picture in your mind? What do you see? What do you smell? What do you hear? What can you taste? And what do you feel? And then when you're singing, what is the emotional intention in the piece? There's, of course, no correct answer. There's your experience and your answer that you bring to it. So right now, I'm only going to sing it quietly because I don't want to influence and get in your way of your experience, but I just want to make sure that you're not thinking, oh, I wish I knew it better. So I will sing it quietly, and then you put yourself in that scenario. Now, just take a breath in, and what do you smell? For me, I'm going to tell you, I smell the water of the shores of Lake Huron, where I used to live. So inhale. And Lake Huron had some of the most beautiful sunrises and sunsets. So that's where I'm going to be when I'm singing. So wherever you are and whoever you're singing to. If you still would like to do the gesture, of course, please do. Here we go. Focus on text. Evening rise, spirit come. Sun goes down when the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. So one focus group would work on that, and they could do it in chain singing. And when we would come back as a full group, would sing it for us with the focus of that meaning of text as the intention. So the next intention another group would be working on would be the vowels. So thinking about the vowel space and the vowel integrity. So a little bit different experience, different mindset. So that's the focus, vowels and vowel integrity. And again, I'm going to sing quietly so that you can have your own experience. Here we go. And evening rise, spirit come, sun goes down as the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. So then that breakout room would sing that for us, and we could have a listen of, oh, what do we sound like now when we're really focused on vowels? So now, of course, next, consonants. When we focus on consonants for enunciation and clarity of text, and imagine different acoustics. We're going to sing a little differently when we're in a very live acoustic or a dry acoustic. Imagine that you're maybe singing in your car, or maybe you're singing in your most favorite church with a beautiful acoustic. But we do things differently. As I was in a workshop once, and I think it was Laurier Fagnon said, move your mouth with your ears. So this focus on consonants this time. Here we go. Evening rise, spirit come, sun goes down as the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. All right. And now this time, focus on dynamics for expression. So what should the dynamics be? Well, there's no should. What do you think the dynamics would be for the intention that you want for the piece? Would you have anything loud, anything extreme, start loud, start quiet, whatever? So have an experiment. Just think for a moment of those words. Evening rise, spirit come. Sun goes down when the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. So I'm going to sing at one piano dynamic, but you have an experiment. Here's our note, and here we go. Evening rise, spirit come, sun goes down when the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. I'm just keeping my right eyeball on the time there. And we'll do this time tone color. So a little more advanced now, depending on the experience of your choir, and also a little challenging for some less experienced singers to do all by themselves at home. They might not be as aware of the tone color in their own voice as what we can do when we're in a big choir. So dark or bright, changing or not changing, you decide. So here we go. Eve and evening rise, spirit come, sun goes down as the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. And then each group would come back and sing for each other. So the other thing that's really valuable in the breakout groups, while they're singing their phrase, trying to match each other. It's like, okay, if we're doing tone color, what was the dynamic of the person who sang before me? So there's some really intense listening, which I find with my choir right now, they don't really have that, nor do I. So this is a good way to have them listen carefully to themselves and another person in relation, even though they can't sing together. So lastly, I want to end off my little section here by doing it one more time in the round, because I can imagine how much that night must feel so nice singing it around with somebody, but also it looks so beautiful with all of your hands moving. So if I could have you do me the favor of standing up and singing this with me with the arm movements last time. And I really appreciate the generosity of you standing up and having your camera on, because boy, it makes me feel good. Thank you. So we'll do it 2 times. I'll sing all the way through, and then you come in and canon. Here we go. Evening rise, spirit come, sun goes down as the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. Evening rise, spirit come, sun goes down as the day is done. Mother Earth awakens me with the heartbeat of the sea. Thank you very much. Thank you. Elaine, sorry to interrupt you. I don't know if it's just me, but I don't hear you well.
Is that helping? Perfect. Great. So there's a question for you on the chat box. Maybe you can answer, Susan, in a bit, but I'm going to bring up our next demonstrator, which is Bruce Kotowich. Dr. Bruce Kotowich is out in Windsor. He's actually calling us today in the beautiful recital hall at University of Windsor. We're very excited to have him demonstrating for us today. He is the regional representative of Choirs Ontario of the Southwest region. So thank you, Bruce. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Elaine. Many of us have been experiencing so many challenges. We've recently here at the university, we've started back with a hybrid model. And last week was our first time to actually have students back in the School of Creative Arts. They're all in separate rooms. They're on an in-house system. But just to hear and see them for the first time was so exciting. We realized our last rehearsal face-to-face that we sang with each other live was March 12th, 2020. So it's been just shy of 2 weeks. It's been an interesting year, and I know all of us have been finding all sorts of triumphs, but also a lot of shortcomings and many frustrations. Today, I just want to deal with embracing the frustrations. And one of my biggest frustrations, and I know all of you are dealing with this, and I've also seen in the chat here, is that how do we deal with latency? Well, we're going to play for the next few minutes with latency. Now, this might, to the outside listener, might sound like cacophony. It might sound like how fugues originally sounded. But I think for us to really work on our choral skills, to give our choristers the needed skills, I think we have to embrace sometimes getting messy. So, like April came last year and we all bought our year's subscription to Zoom. And we were all expecting that by the fall, Zoom would be working out great and everything would be all, syncing up. There'd be no latency. September comes and we have latency. There's all sorts of other programs, other platforms out there, but part of what I've realized was that I was teaching my choirs at the university here in the community how to use these platforms, let alone myself trying to learn these platforms for rehearsals, for teaching classes, for lessons. We are now venturing into a combination of using Zoom and Clean Feed. I'm still a mess with Clean Feed, honestly. Thank goodness I've got people here that work with me to make Clean Feed work for me. But I still use Zoom with two of my other choirs here in town. And the frustration is that we could see each other. The pre and post rehearsal time, I see people talking and engaging, and they're sharing with each other again, and that's what's important. So these couple activities, we are going to unmute. Now, I understand there are limitations with the sound feeds on Zoom. There will be latency. But we're going to be singing together. We may not be able to hear everyone's voice at the same time, but even with those couple to 3 or 4 voices that will be coming through, we'll be able to still realize that there are other choristers out there that we can connect with each other. What I like to do as part of my warm-up as we transition into repertoire is to have everyone unmute, and I'll just explain what the activity is first before we do unmute. We're going to simply sing a 5-note scale. A major 5-note scale. And what I'm looking for is what is the importance of singing a 5-note scale? How does it give breath technique? How does it give timbre? How does it improve articulation, the onset, the release, and so forth? But also what's important here is to feel where they actually move and for the choristers to be more responsible in counting. So we're going to be using a very slow pulse. 1, 2, T, 4, 1, 2, and people will be breathing wherever they need to breathe. There will be that smudgy point in there. It might be an eighth, half a beat. It might be 1 full beat. But for us to experience each other. Now, for many of us, it's going to feel sloppy. It's going to feel messy for that transition point. But to actually hear each other and realize that there is a connection out there is so important. So if you wouldn't mind unmuting, or Andrew, if you just want to unmute them, yes, it's going to be a horrible noise. But out of chaos, creation,
Yes.
Andrew, if you just mute us again, that'd be great. All right, from that experience, and I realize that for many of us it feels very uncomfortable, but the idea of actually connecting with other people's sound. One thing I was finding this fall with my choirs was that there was a lot of what I called bedroom karaoke. People would be set up in their bedrooms and quietly singing and not getting a full body engagement. And part of it I thought was because they couldn't sing with other people. So this was for me very important that we actually try working with the latency and just finding other ways of just coping through it. What's really exciting was that even this past fall, I believe it was the Canadian Chamber Choir had a choral composition competition where the works were to feature latency, works that could be performed online. And even though, I don't, this is not part of my everyday practice, but one of the challenges of the technology that we have right now, I think that we should try to embrace here. Let's just take this again, and I want to kind of scaffold on what Jackie was doing with the cannons and rounds. We're going to take this same 5-note scale. Let's start here, please. And what I would like you to do is come in either on the immediate first pitch, or you wait 2 measures and come in when everyone else is on the 3rd pitch. So we will eventually get those thirds happening. Here we go, Andrew. Andrew, are you working the control board here?
I think mostly everybody's doing it themselves.
I love starters. I love starters. Here we go. 2, breath. 1, 2, 3, The idea that this is not what we'd show as public work, but the idea of working together and
Bruce, you're muted.
Thank you. So, okay, again, as I was saying, this would not be our public practice that we would show, but the skills, the ideas that we could get through this to encourage that full singing. Now, another thing that we do at times is taking a chorale setting. It could be unison, it could be 4-part, depending on what your choir is doing, as long as you take it as slow-moving parts. And this idea I got from one of our instrumental conductors here at the university, of just taking something out of tempo, but allowing us to sing through, play through, and feel the chords changing. Yeah, and I'm just seeing here in the chat. Yeah, it's quite a sound, but you know, we just work with that. Is it better to use without original sound? I use original sound because that way Zoom doesn't cut out certain frequencies. Headphones, of course, makes it so much easier so that there isn't feedback taking place. There will always be latency with this. It'll always be a half beat, a beat latency taking place at these slower tempos. The smaller the group, the easier, yes. And also it depends what type of internet connection that you do have with your ensemble. Like, are they all hooked in with the Ethernet? and different things like that. Again, I'm starting to find that using the combination of the Zoom video with the clean feed audio feed, the audio quality is so much better. But just for our purposes here in demonstration, again, what we're doing here is embracing what we're trying to avoid at first, but making that to make us even stronger. Now, also at times, what I've done with the open microphones is to actually work on improvisation. And I know that I do not come from a jazz background. As a piano major, when I was an undergraduate piano student, and when I was told that, well, you will improvise all your cadenzas for this concerto and that concerto, and I was terrified. And so the area of improvisation isn't one of my strong suits. But what I'm finding with this online medium, using the latency, is that we can create our own soundscapes. It is kind of Murray Schafer-esque. It does kind of follow in that, but what it does is that it allows our choristers to experiment and to expand. Now, again, just to capitalize with what Jackie was talking about, the use of breakout rooms really does help. So if you do have a larger group, you could put people into breakout rooms using smaller breakout rooms. When I start creating a soundscape, it usually comes after we've done the vocal warm-up. And I use that as part of the oral skills, tuning, intonation, so that that we start off creating an ostinato. I usually use a perfect fifth, then moving up to the sixth, and we get this ostinato where we could have solo voices come in, improvising over that ostinato line. For today, because of the size of our group, we're not going to play with that. But the idea of going into those places and allowing to have just a bit of your online time to play with all these things such as latency that drives us crazy. It again, as I'm saying, I don't use this in our recording projects that we're now doing, but it allows our choristers to have creativity as we improvise. I'm finding that for my community choirs, it really gives them vocal independence in terms of counting, and making themselves feel more independent with their different lines. I just want to wrap up here. Are there Elaine, are there questions here? I just see that there's been a lot of reaction in the chat, which I think is great.
Yeah, I don't think there's more questions. You have addressed some of them already, which is very helpful. I have put on the link of Clean Feed, which you've mentioned, Bruce. And basically what happened with Clean Feed is a website that you can send a link to your group members. It's quite like Zoom, but at the same time, it doesn't cut off each other's sound. So Zoom doesn't really let two tracks to go simultaneously, but Clean Feed can possibly stack that up a little bit. So I can see an exercise like that working with a smaller group and with a program like Clean Feed. Actually, some of the sound was already coming through a little bit, which is kind of lovely to see too. So thank you so much, Bruce, for sharing.
Also, I should add, whenever you start experimenting with these new platforms, if there is a free version, go with the free version at first to see if you really like it or not. There was a couple things that we purchased that didn't work for us, but there are other platforms that allow you to sign up for free and have like a 20-minute time with it at first and so forth. What we also look for are platforms where we could send out the invitations, that our choristers, our students don't have to get a subscription. So that's also really important. But Elaine and everyone, thank you for the time. I hope that this kind of gets those creative juices moving there.
Thank you. Really appreciate that, Bruce. All right, so with our last demonstrator, that is Melanie Tellez. Melanie is the Assistant Artistic Director of the Hamilton Children's Choir. And Melanie is also a school teacher, and she is also working from home currently with 2 children of her own. So she does it all. I'm very excited to have Melanie sharing with us. I've always learned so much from Melanie with lots of resources and creative activities. So on to you, Melanie.
Thank you, Elaine. I am so pleased to see so many faces on the screen today. I currently work on Zoom with singers from the ages of 6 to 18. And of course, the 6-year-olds are the most unwilling or unable to do things just out of politeness. And so many of the tricks and tips that I have to share with you today, really it could be titled as things that are good for everybody, but things I've learned from 6-year-olds, because when nothing is done out of politeness, everything is very real. You get the feedback really, really quickly. And so I'm happy to first ask to find out, can you show me with just a hand if you're a singer in a choir or you're a conductor of a choir? Can you just raise your hand for me so that I can see in the screen in front of me? That's what I thought. Okay, so I have mostly singers. You were such great choristers when Jackie was leading you through that round. So now I ask you, without being critical or changing anything, are you currently sitting like a singer? Are you currently using the computer like a singer? Isn't that interesting? And like, you're the singers that show up on a weekend for the extra credit workshop. And yet there's such a big difference between the way we, no matter how trained we are as singers. I see many people now like, oh, right, okay, I'm adjusting. One of the biggest things I've noticed of all ages, it really isn't just for young people, it's for all people. There's a big part of our rehearsal process, however we're participating as presenters, leaders, as just singers, that has to do with reminding ourselves that this is choir right now. And so our bodies and the way that we use our energy, there has to be a bit more explicit when you're actually interacting and reminding yourself of those things. So we're going to do some of those body connection pieces at the beginning of what we're doing right now. So I will ask that the first thing you do is bring your fists up in front of you like this. I know it looks aggressive, bear with me, I promise it's not. The first thing that I've just started doing now on Zoom that we never used to do it in person is, can you arrange yourself? If you can see your own face, that's best, but otherwise arrange yourself so that you believe your fists are covering your mouth. Now you have a great expressive tool that is still visible, as do I, and so I'm going to ask you that you try to communicate with just those eyes a great degree of fear and anxiety in your eyes. Can you show me the most anxious of eyes? Now you can see, because there are so many folks on the screen, you can see what's working and what's not. You can look into your camera and show me your fearful eyes, but you can also get great enjoyment out of looking at everyone else's. Okay, so now reverse it. You just opened your eyes and there's a puppy that you don't have to take care of. So, puppy, there's a sweet puppy in the room. You don't have to take care of it, no responsibility, bright, 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 shiny eyes. Okay, very good. Now relax your fists, but keep them up. You've just reminded yourself you have a great expressive device in the use of your eyes. Now I would like to invite you to take one thumb and stick it out, please. You'll notice I have like children's permanent marker on my hand. Just ignore that part and still take me seriously if you would. Put one pinky out in the same direction. So you now have like a sort of parallel line here. Great. Now as quickly and gracefully as you can, switch to the other two. Oh, there's some good coordination here. There are some other folks that do. It's no shame in the one by one process. That is the way to start. Very good. So now I want you to notice what you're doing. Are you sort of hang 10, or are you able to go back and forth? Can you do that without my verbal cue? Can you just follow? The pianists in the room are like, you bet I can. Couple of winks there. Very good. Now can you make it harder by winking the opposite eye? If these are going to your left, you're going to wink your right eye. Then switch, switch, switch. Very good. There's extreme coordination in this group. It must be because you're the people that show up on a Sunday. You can continue to build on this to add resonance, to add additional movements, to add other things that you want to ask your choristers, your students to be engaged with. The purpose of it is to remind ourselves, as we have to do through a visual means right now, that our community, you can no longer hear it and you can no longer feel it when you are on this format, but you can really see it. And so the more that you can do to demonstrate on the screen your level of energy, whether you're a leader or a participant, oh, it changes everything. It makes everything feel great. And so this next activity requires a lot of vulnerability, but it's another sort of body awareness one. We call it the arms and legs free itchy nose in Hamilton Children's Choir. And so it's when you bring your face as vulnerably as you can to that screen, and then you're going to imagine that you have a great itch on your nose, but you don't have any limbs with which to scratch it. So all you can do is begin to get a bit more aggressive with the types of facial muscles that you are going to use, and then you'll suddenly realize you have a big palette of options here. You can go vertical and horizontal and quick. You can modify your tempo. You can sort of think about big strokes. The big trick of it all, the real cruel piece of this is that, does this help your nose or does it just make it itchier? Diane, that is cheating. I saw you scratch that nose. So indeed, once you have permission to scratch your nose, then of course we can all release ourselves from that tension. This is a beautiful thing because it reminds us that we're humans and we're vulnerable and that we all, we're still connected and together. And the more levity that you can bring to your group, I think it's true of all ages, even the 18-year-olds and the 80-year-olds, the more that we can be reminded that we are in fact doing this together without a sense of pressure and timeline and accomplishment, the more motivated we are to do the rest of the hard work. And so those are the types of things that I like to do to remind people of the energy we have together. Then you can also transition that same visual palette into musical skills. So this is an exercise that works in person, but I think it's really great online, even with latency notwithstanding. It's called 4 things. So I'm going to do something 4 times, then you're going to repeat it. I've seen you do great work with Jackie and with Bruce, and so this is much simpler. So I'm going to snap 4 times. I invite you to do it after me. Wasn't that satisfying to watch? So now the same thing is going to happen, but while you're repeating my first action, I'm going to do a second one. So you have to repeat my action, then also pay attention to what I'm doing and repeat that one, and so on and so forth. If you get lost or if your internet breaks down, you pause and eventually you'll catch up. So remember, whenever you do come back to seeing me, you're not trying to do it with me, but after me, okay? Be brave. Use the screen, right? Notice what your body can do. So I'll start the same way. So, mi, do. Do, re, mi. So, la, so. Do, ti, la. Rum, rum, rum. Ooh. If you can do chicken wings on a Zoom screen in front of lots of other people, you know that you are confident about who you are inside. And I think that's a great gift to have for any person. So you can see, again, I'm trying to go through a lot of things quickly, but that's a playful way that you can check the community. You can check the vulnerability that you're achieving with your group. You can see what the buy-in is. And then, of course, you can transfer that leadership to somebody else, because anybody can count to 4 and anybody can take over that. And so that's a way that you can use breakout rooms or go into breakout rooms or switch up your body participation, your active embodied participation at any point in a rehearsal, I think. The other piece that is helpful for connecting singers of any age to what they're doing in this rehearsal is reminding that you can't just take the energy of a conductor in front of you anymore, because we're all created equal within this small box. And so you have to add what that storytelling element is. And I liked very much hearing Jackie talk about how she took her groups into breakout rooms to talk about the meaning, because I think now more than ever, there is no natural, oh, we've repeated this enough and we naturally learn what the song is about. And so otherwise people disengage. And so one activity that is a nice, easy vocal warm-up that also involves some great jaw tension release is to imagine, if you will, a flavor of bubblegum in front of you. Please place it in your hands. I would like for you to smell that bubblegum with the type of like careful, mindful smell that you give to whatever your favorite flavor is. As you do that, you notice the type of breath you've taken has engaged and allowed everything to actually open up here, and you really took it into your body in a different way. Then when you pop it into your mouth, chew it actively, And now I would like for you to tell me a story that I cannot hear because you're on mute, but I would like for you to tell me some type of story that requires a lot of gestural communication. It can be frustration, joy, whatever the story is. And then I want you to just observe what are other people up to. There's not enough time for all of us to share a story, but I want to see it and I want to hear it. And I'm going to choose the person, there are a lot of you I don't know on the screen, who is the most emphatic with whatever mood to tell us what they're actually talking about. So ready? Bubblegum again, smell it again. Smells better the second time when you can really feel that air going into that relaxed abdomen, right? Okay, pop the gum in and go. Have an arc to your storytelling. Make it get to the point, get to the climax, get to the detail. What is the most important part? And then how did you feel about it when it resolved? What happened at the very end? What was the last final? Good. Those are very good closing gestures. Leslie Bricker, what was your story about? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. If you're brave enough, will you unmute and tell us?
Would you like me to act it out or just tell you?
Whatever you think you can do in 10 seconds or less.
I went to the store to buy some bubble gum and I looked in my purse, but unfortunately I had no money. And then I had a big hissy fit, kept looking at my purse, but my purse was too big. But I found the money and got the gum.
I love it. That was great.
Ever after.
That was a beautiful story. Okay, and so you can talk about the resonation. You can talk about the experience vocally that you'd like the singers to have. You can change all kinds of things. But the point is that it's engaging and fun and silly and lets everyone uniquely contribute to something that you think is purposeful. So there we go. Now, the other thing that I've noticed a lot with youth groups, and I'm sure that this happens with adult groups as well, is that it's a lot harder to satisfy everyone. The people who need more time, they want to repeat that phrase like 5 more times, and the person who got it the first time and cannot believe that 10 minutes later we are still looking at it. Yes? And so I think the more that the culture of any group can support everybody where they're at, the better. So there could be a different way to be observing, contributing in the chat. If you can start to use breakout rooms with leaders, all the better. But I'd like to do a simple warm-up to talk about how I think that there are ways that we can use pre-recorded sounds and our own active participation to scaffold, to keep making things more and more challenging. So this is going to require you to conduct, and I bet I've never had a more willing group to lead on for conducting. So just in case it's your first time, we're gonna go down for 1, in toward our bodies for 2, out to the side for 3, and then back up for 4. I'm sure many of you teach conducting at a very high level, so please disregard my oversimplification, but that's what we're doing for our 4 beats here. So down, in, out, and up, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to start with just a do on that beat 1. Then we go to do, re. It keeps getting longer. Do, re, mi, always on beat 1. Do, re, mi, fa. You can sing along. Do, re, mi, fa, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. That's your whole scale. You notice it still fits into 4 beats because we've quickened that duration. So then what you're going to do is you're going to go back from that full scale down, taking off 1 syllable at a time. Ready? So the very first thing we do will be that whole scale. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti. Do, re, mi, fa, so, la. Do, re, mi, fa, so. Do, re, mi, fa. Do, re, mi. Do, re. Last one. Do. Finish the cycle through. Hooray. And so you get a real visual feedback for like, okay, some people are into that. Some people I know they don't like it. And so that's okay. You can always just do down, rest, 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 next, rest, rest. All of that's fine. You can replace the do, re, mi's with any other pattern if you're not using syllables all of the time. But now the challenge comes with whether or not you can do this in canon, where if I start here on 1, can you start on 3? So it's do, but then you're going do, do, re, do, re, do, re, mi, do, re, mi, do, re, mi, fa, do, re, mi. I can't sing those 2 parts all by myself. So let's try once with me singing. I'm going to up the tempo a little bit. You're going to try to come in on beat 3. But that's your beat 1. which means that you can't rely on me for the singing other than keeping a tempo and pitch. You're on your own. It's much more independent. If that's overwhelming and you were proud of yourself for just doing the first one, then come on, no pressure. Just do the first one again with me, okay? So here we go. Do, do, re, mi, do, re, mi, fa, do, re, mi, fa, sol, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, do, re, mi, fa, sol, do, re, mi, fa, do, re, mi, do, re, do. How did that go for folks? Yeah? Good. Leanna, thanks for that immediate thumbs up. That's the feedback I crave. Great. Okay, so then now what we'll do is I will try, it's quite a quiet recording, but I think it's still effective. I'm going to try to show you what it's like if I've pre-recorded that in 3 parts. So if you're a keener, that means that you're trying to go on the 3rd beat. Good luck. So do, 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 re, do, re, do, re. It's a little bit harder to do it in between. Beat 3 is what you just did. It's going to feel like it's the next dominant one, but do, do, do. Good luck. So pick one. 1 is easiest, 2 is harder, 3 is what you just worked on. It's a little bit quiet if you're not wearing earphones, I realize. My beat is very strong, but that's okay. Otherwise it should be enough. I'm going to just keep a beat like this rather than try to lead you through one. You hear your tempo? How is that for everybody? Easy enough to follow? And so one of the things that I notice that keeps singers really engaged at all levels is when you are allowing them to do things in parts, just like Jackie successfully did with singing independently. But sometimes you need to give extra, you need to record. So the more that you can record multiple parts ahead of time, it means you're free to give energy to the screen, and then singers are free to choose. Who chose beat 2 for the record? Anyone do the most difficult one? I know we have some professors here, so I expect that was successful for most of you, the doctors of music in the group. Great. Okay, so then the last thing I'll ask is when I share my screen, it's going to look like a lot of music theory, so don't panic. When I share my screen, do you see a whole lot of little small excerpts? 12 measures worth, maybe 14, we'll go to 14. And then, do you have the ability, let's see if you don't have it, if I'm able to change it for you. What I'm hoping you can do is you'll be able to annotate, and I don't know because I've never used the Choirs Ontario account. Do you have the ability to annotate as users in this group? Oh, you do. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Will. Very good. So then, I invite you to, I'm not going to really make you do this because this is a Sunday afternoon, unless somebody really wants to. But what we like to do with groups, when you want to hear individuals, it can take a really long time to coordinate who's going to go first and second. Then those breaks are really uncomfortable. Does anyone want to sight read? I assume you don't really want to, but I'd love for you to put your name on top of one of these measures to pretend you're volunteering, just as a demo as to how everyone can get. So Elaine's going for number 10. Duncan's going for number 9. Some people are maybe going to write some fake names because you know that you don't have to be that accountable. But as a group where you're really working on it, the fastest way to move through everyone getting a chance to sing, this happens to be a sight singing page. Some people also need some tips on how to annotate. And so I will give you a quick one if that's helpful for folks. You should have at the top of your screen something that says, it's like a green bar that says you're viewing Melanie's screen. What you want to do is click on either View Options, or for you, it might show up as the word More with 3 dots. And then usually there's a menu up there that lets you turn on annotations for yourself. There's a word Annotate, has a little pen. We figured it out. Okay, so what we would do if this were a much longer session is now you know who's claimed which. You know what you're going to sight sing. You get to practice it. You get to prepare it. That way I'm just giving you, here's your do, so, okay, number 1, L and yellow scribble, plus Anne's jumping in there. And that way it's a quick way to go through a number of people singing individually without needing to stop and ask people to unmute, because then you prep. You know when you're going to unmute and when you're not. And so I think that that is helpful for repertoire and for sight singing, for any exercise you do. As long as you're allowing them to choose, there's a sort of accountability. So let's say that, who could I pick on? Bruce. Bruce, did you sign up? You didn't sign up. So Bruce, your job while we do this, since you're not signing up, is to try to notice which rhythm is the trickiest for folks. Is it 16th notes? Is it, and then, you know, Leslie, if Leslie didn't sign up, she's going to be noticing, like, what syllable seems to be the one that is hardest for folks? And so then the last thing I'll say, I know once you start to annotate, everyone's so thrilled to annotate. You should see this group of 6-year-olds and how happy they are to annotate. So I think that one rule that is super important as people are bravely being vulnerable, which I think transfers from every warm-up you participate in or you lead and all the repertoire you work on too, is just that the compliments, you should encourage those to be forthcoming and to be really specific. Like the way that when we asked Leslie to tell her story, like, I love that story, that was great. The compliments can be specific and free-flowing. The criticisms, the work that we want to do constructively, should always be collective. Because really it's the music that's challenging. It's not the individual that's having a challenge with it, right? And I think for me on Zoom, that's been a harder thing that you have to really explicitly address. Otherwise, people aren't used to. Interrupting feels so foreign and difficult in this space, but yet you want everyone to be vulnerable. So I think my biggest tip is just that as a participant, however you're participating, whether you're the leader, whether you're a section leader, whether it's your first year in the choir, facilitating that culture of energy, of sharing, of bravery and vulnerability, it makes this feel much more like the choir that we all know and love, right? And so I think that is my overall takeaway, and I appreciate so much your participation and enthusiasm today, so thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. We do a little like clap or jazz hand. That was fantastic. And thank you, a big clap to Bruce and Jackie for their leadership and demonstration as well. I like to say that, you know, a lot of us have never taught over Zoom until a year ago. So what we're doing here today is sharing and just what has worked well for our ensembles, or how do you transfer some of these exercises. Or sometimes the great thing about going to a workshop is someone might have done an exercise. I was like, oh, I used to do that. Why haven't I done that in the last 2 years? Right, I can do that again. So it is a lot of fun to have a chance to see that. A big thank you to the Choirs Ontario Board of Directors who helped out today. We have everyone from Mark Vuorinen, our current president, Andrew Walker, president-elect, Jackie Hawley, regional rep in the East, Bruce Kotowich, regional rep in Southwest, Melanie Tellez, secretary, Michelle Rees, who is our note taker, Gary Leung, who is also helping us with the emails and publicity, Mark Ramsay, who is the editor of Dynamics, which is our publication. Myself, I'm the past president of Choirs Ontario, and we're delighted to be sharing our time with you today. Just as a couple of quick notes, is the session is recorded and will be edited and presented to you. All the notes will be compiled and we'll be sending it to you. And one more thing is on March 20th, Cynthia Polos from Hamilton Children's Choir will be giving our next session. So keep your eyes out on all of our publicity material. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Make sure you check out our emails. So thank you so much. And we hope you have a great day. If you want to stay back and ask any questions, you're welcome. And thank you once again to all of you for joining us today. Have a good day, everyone.